What nation is known for the highest mountains in Africa and vast national parks? Tanzania. Their economic success is its geographical location. It's the heartbeat of East Africa. Why? Because it has great access to both the southern and eastern African markets and is now one of the fastest growing nations in Africa, with annual GDP growth of around 7% since 2000. So, let's beat some drums for Tanzania. They are rising up in the world. For almost 20 years, Tanzania has been an economic miracle tale. They've been steadily growing during the last 10 years despite the global financial crisis, and are predicted to continue this path to become a wealthier nation in the near future. Tanzania is bringing the house down. But before we get into any of their success stories, we can't just gloss over the facts, because you have to remember they are among the planet's poorest nations despite its rapid economic expansion, with 49% of Tanzanians living under the $1.90 daily international extreme poverty threshold. Imagine that, almost half their population aren't meeting the cut. Their population, which is 73% rural, has not seen any economic growth. Tanzania is ranked 159th out of 189 nations in the UNDP's Human Development Index, placing them in the bottom 6th of countries worldwide. For many natives, every day is a hardship. Although it is likely much higher, the official unemployment rate is said to be about 3%. But even those with a job, they haven't got it great. In 2017, the average monthly income was $76, but they would also receive $40 in official development assistance. This means that if you ever had the chance of visiting Tanzania, you can easily notice poverty in many corners. Poverty is like a monkey on Tanzania's back. But it doesn't just stop there. Labour-intensive industries like agriculture take up over 75% of working-age adults, making it super hard to improve productivity and growth. Don't believe us? For the last 10 years, the agriculture industry only had 4% annual growth, even though the sector makes up for almost a third of the GDP and takes up a massive part of their population. The issue of poverty doesn't end there. Sadly, it has also recently been hit with waves of inflation that have affected every aspect of their day-to-day living. Prices are soaring for everything, from power, wood, and basics like rice, corn, and bread. It's in areas like these where a price increase hits hard on the quality of life of people there. Tanzania should face the music. But what caused Tanzania to be put in this spiraling situation anyway? Well, before we get into it, if you like this video so far, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. Let's go back in time. The land was split between Belgium, Portugal, and Great Britain as the winning nations of World War I following the end of German colonialism. A League of Nations mandate gave Great Britain control over the Tanganyika territory. They fell under British authority as a UN-mandated province following World War II. Soon after, teacher Julius Nyerere founded the Tanganyika African National Union, TANU, as a political party in 1954. As a new constitution took effect, Tanganyika gained partial independence and Nyerere was appointed Prime Minister in May 1961. In December the same year, they saw the granting of full independence, and when Tanganyika became a republic inside the Commonwealth, Nyerere was chosen president. A few years after that, in 1964, Zanzibar and Tanganyika united to establish the United Republic of Tanzania. Nyerere ruled the nation for the first 25 years after it gained its independence and started installing his vision, which included a socialist society, the introduction of Swahili as the national language, the promotion of the Ujamaa family ideas, and regional political activities. They had a whole lot to sort out in the nation as soon as things finally died down. Thanks to our man Nyerere and his vision, Tanzania is now considered one of the most calm countries in Africa, free from significant religious and ethnic strife. Reform was unavoidable due to the severe economic crisis that started in the late 1970s. The liberal market economy progressively replaced the state-controlled economy, and international investors were given easier access to the market. And in 1995, with the first round of parliamentary elections, the one-party system came to an end. Since then, they've now had 6 presidents, with their current president, Samia Suluhu Hassan, being their first female president to serve. Now that Tanzania managed to sort out how to run themselves, it's time for their people to follow, which leads us to their private sector. Participation from the private sector is crucial to Tanzania's economic growth and their ambition to become a middle-income nation by 2025. Businesses there are leading the way in economic expansion by creating jobs, innovation, and fair competition. With a lot of financial resources and knowledge of market-based solutions, their private sector has the ability to address significant societal issues. But how much do they really care about the private sector? Well, more than you think. About 70% of youth there are currently employed in the private sector. Pretty damn good for a newly established state. But does that mean that Tanzania offers a good business environment? Of course not. Here is what is being hidden. The fact that the private sector has grown in cities shouldn't be used as an excuse for the lack of institutional and political reform. Every owner of a business in the service sector laments the underqualified staff members' lack of motivation. Others worry about their excessive reliance on imports. Can you imagine that almost everything needs to be imported? That includes computers, cars, furniture, and books, as nothing is locally produced. And you can guess who the victim is here. Of course, small and medium-sized enterprises. They're particularly vulnerable to any random action by the authorities. But why is this the case? Because of custom tariffs, import levels, and other trade restrictions. It seems like businesses have to carry the can. Now, you might be wondering how this reflects on Tanzania's ease of doing business. In 2019, it ranked 141st out of 189 nations by the World Bank in terms of having a business-friendly atmosphere, with an average rank of around 135. Not particularly great, but not bad for a new nation. So what is stopping them from expanding? Well, so many reasons, including an overabundance of red tape, challenges in obtaining building licenses or land, constant trouble with the power supply, issues with import and export, and crazy high rates. You should take these into consideration if you decide to open a business there. These aren't the only challenges for the development of Tanzania. The list of obstacles goes on. Corruption and insufficient infrastructure. One of the main things preventing the country from developing is corruption. The ball and chain of so many developing countries, including Tanzania. Actually, it's ranked the 94th out of 180 countries, according to the 2022 Corruption Perceptions Index. Corruption rank there averaged 97.68 from 1998 until 2022. Does this really matter for Tanzania? Of course it matters. It terrorizes and paralyzes the nation, whether in business, politics, or even the private sector. Here is a tip for you in the unlikely event that you decide to open a business there. You should know that bribery is required for businessmen to be able to import goods, register vehicles, get residency permits, and business licenses. Also, you might see that corrupt cops harass both tourists and natives in daily traffic, so you should take good care. If you live there, money can get you some of the best medical care. But what's even more crazy is you can get a fake college degree, or to circumvent the law. The situation there is like a can of worms. So many challenges. No? We're not done yet. Here is one more problem. Similar issues arise with infrastructure. There just simply isn't enough water or electricity available. So take care, because even though progress in terms of access to electricity has been made recently, still only 33% of the population there have access to electricity. That's 2/3 of the population which is still deprived of electricity. You can't ignore this. Now, you must be asking whether the government is reacting to these issues. Actually, yes. Recently, they've been committed to invest in Tanzania's infrastructure to boost growth. There has been some progress in the field of road construction, as some long-postponed or abandoned projects have recently been moved ahead. There are now plans to build a modern train route between Dodoma and Dar es Salaam. Nevertheless, for a nation experiencing such rapid expansion, the transportation infrastructure is by no means as effective as it should be, but a great start. The construction industry there has grown recently as a result of large-scale projects funded by development partners and carried out by the government. This covers both public and private projects, such as building roads, water systems, telecommunications, airport transportation networks, and other infrastructure. Private projects include building homes and businesses. In fact, the share of investment in GDP had a massive boost in the last decade, and it looks like it's going to continue until 2028. Thankfully to all these projects, social and economic activities are impacted by the abundance of work opportunities from the construction industry. Thousands of locals, both skilled and unskilled, work on various projects around the nation. The government, through its relationships with the business sector and development partners, is strongly devoted to the development of public infrastructure. The building of the JP Magufuli cable-stayed bridge, the standard gauge railway, the East African crude oil pipeline, the 2,115 MW Julius Nyerere hydropower facility, and other airport projects are important undertakings. We can finally breathe a sigh of relief. Hold on, something is going wrong here. External events are changing the face of investment projects there. Of course, a worldwide pandemic has come in to halt things. Due to the impacts of COVID-19 on the workforce, there were closures of numerous factories, suppliers, and project completion was delayed. Like many other places in the world, the construction industry was impacted in a variety of ways. Numerous projects there have also been delayed as a result of the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. But why does a conflict between two European countries have such negative effects on an African country? The answer is simple: price fluctuations. Prices have fluctuated during the tendering process and have increased as project execution progresses. This means that many parties found it challenging to execute fixed contracts in the absence of price adjustment considerations. Just as they got the ball rolling, there always needs to be something happening to put them out. Tanzania has experienced remarkable advancements in social welfare, political and economic growth in the past few years. But the story doesn't end here. This is because the nation still faces significant development obstacles, not the least of which are in crucial domains like population growth, economic distribution, but a more pronounced split between the state and party. Luckily, new opportunities are also emerging, which could prove to be pivotal in bringing about the essential adjustments and reforms. Thanks for watching till the end. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons to receive more content. See you in the next video.